In just a matter of weeks, convicted sexually violent predator Douglas Badger will be housed in a residential neighborhood in Borrego Springs.
This placement by California's Department of State Hospitals is moving forward, despite fierce opposition by the community. CBS 8's Richard Allen has more on the impact of this decision and the new move to audit the current system.
And this is the house on Zuni Trail here in Borrego Springs the convicted sexually violent predator Douglas Badger will be moving into later this month, just across the street from a family with children.
And our plan was to grow old here.
Terry Kellmeyer moved to Borrego Springs 6 years ago with her 3 children, 2 of whom are deaf.
A place where I felt like my kids could just grow up and run around and not lock doors and feel safe in the neighborhood.
She says that sense of safety is now gone after a judge in March approved the placement of sexually violent predator Douglas Badger in this 3-bedroom house across the street, despite intense public protests. The 80-year-old, diagnosed with schizophrenia and sexual sadism, has served 5 separate prison terms for convictions ranging from child molestation to kidnapping to sexual assault.
Douglas Badger is moving in, a sexually violent predator, a stone's throw away from me, and everything has to change.
Kellmeyer says she and her family are now moving, forced out by this placement.
I'm losing my home. I'm losing my home.
Is the current system working?
Well, I would say it's not working.
State Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones is now calling for an audit of the state's conditional release program for sexually violent predators, or SVPs, who are disproportionately placed in rural communities like Borrego Springs and Jacamba.
It's not fair for these neighborhoods.
This proposed audit would examine the state's exclusive contract with Liberty Healthcare, which has managed California's SVP conditional release program since 2003, which includes finding housing for these sexually violent predators, as well as overseeing their ongoing treatment and providing supervision through the use of a GPS device.
It's never been rebid. It's never been scrutinized.
Jones says this audit is crucial to getting clear answers to a program that he says is shrouded in secrecy.
Most importantly, what's the recidivism rate of these sexually violent predators once they are released to liberty? How many of them have to go back? How many of them reoffend? Which is the worst part of this whole program, is that we have these monsters in prison, we let them out, and then they reoffend. That's just unconscionable to me that we would allow that to happen.
This audit would also examine where our state tax dollars are going. According to Jones, California currently pays as much as $350,000 a year for each sexually violent predator released into the community. Douglas Badger will be the 3rd sexually violent predator released into San Diego County in the past year, bringing the total county-wide to 8.
In other states, they actually have a much stronger programs.
Borrego Springs resident Sarah Rogers, who holds a PhD in psychology, has been asked to testify next month in Sacramento on the need for this audit, a topic she studied extensively.
For instance, in the state of Florida, they must complete inpatient treatment.
She points out that Liberty had previously been in charge of Florida's SVP in-house treatment program until the state opted not to renew its contract in 2005.
Since they got rid of Liberty Healthcare, yes, they have a much better program in place today.
Rogers says that in California, inpatient treatment by SVPs is only completed about 40% of the time before being conditionally released into the community.
In the state of Florida, it's greater than 95% treatment completion rate for inpatient treatment.
Rogers also points out that in the Tampa area, some SVPs have been placed in group home settings in industrial, not residential areas. Jones says he'd like to return to the past system of placing these SVPs into housing on either fire camps on state property or in a trailer located on prison grounds, a practice that was challenged in court.
They're still paroled. They're still not in prison, but the trailer was on the prison grounds where the state is keeping an eye on them, not some unsuspecting neighborhood with children and families.
Families like Terry Kellmeyers, who believed the judge did not truly listen to her or her community in placing Douglas Badger on her street.
This could happen to anybody, this could happen to, it just happened to our street and our little neighborhood, but there are many more sexually violent predators that they're trying to place.
And Jones plans to formally request this audit next month. If approved, it should take 18 months to complete. In Borrego Springs, Richard Allen, CBS 8.
Thanks, Richard. Now, CBS 8 did reach out to the state for comment on this proposed audit. In a statement, they said, quote, "The California Department of State Hospitals remains committed to providing effective treatment in a safe environment and in a fiscally responsible manner and to assure public safety."